So first of all, we'd be discussing the ascending tracts in detail. And over here, the topic under discussion is only how the information is gathered from the surroundings and how this information is basically in a very integrated and in a very comprehensive way, how is it carried through different tracts towards the final integrative centers in the brain. So it's not that all the information is packed up and is sent up to the higher centers of the brain in any of the tracts. It's basically a very complex mechanism how different sensations are carried through different tracts, and you have to remember that. Now, why is that so? Because when you'd be working as clinicians, you must know what information is carried by the different tracts. It's very important because any trauma or any damage that occurs at any kind of level, you must be knowing what is the level of decussation of different tracts. This is going to enhance your clinical knowledge. So knowing this baseline for the anatomical organization of ascending tracts is very critical at this stage. So I'd be giving you a review over here how they are anatomically organized in the spinal cord. So you have to basically remember that when we look at a cut section of a spinal cord, there is a butterfly shaped, or we also term it as an H-shaped gray matter that is present centrally. As you can even evaluate over here, this is the H-shaped gray matter which is placed centrally in the spinal cord. Now, when we use these terminologies of gray matter and white matter, what do we exactly mean by that? Gray matter is where the cell bodies are residing. So you have to remember that it's only the cell bodies of the neurons that are residing inside the gray matter. And you can just basically remember it as a fact that basically these cell bodies are residing at different levels of the spinal cord, and then their axons, they basically elongate and they take the information towards the higher centers of the brainstem, of the cerebellum, depending upon what is the final destination for that particular ascending tract which we are talking about. So once you're done with the gray matter, we move on to the white matter. And over here, you'd be seeing that the white matter is basically organized in 3 different distinct locations. We have the anterior, we have the posterior, and we'll be discussing the lateral aspects of the white matter. And we'll be only focusing on the ascending tracts. You must remember this fact that this white matter that is present anteriorly, laterally, and posteriorly, it's not only carrying the ascending tracts, it's carrying the descending tracts as well. But for right now, we'd be discussing the descending tracts in a separate lecture, and over here, we're just limiting our discussion to the ascending tracts, and it's basically an organized way how you remember things more easily. So just to have how the information is basically collected from the peripheries, it basically is sent to the dorsal root. And then we have a ventral root over here. So usually the dorsal root has the sensory information, by which we mean that the information is being collected from the periphery and it is sent back to the higher centers of the brain. And this is the ventral root, which is usually motor in its origin. And this is the spinal nerve trunk. So when we say the spinal nerve trunk, it's basically a mixed nerve. It is also carrying the sensory as well as the motor information in it. And this is primarily the dorsal root ganglion over here. So this is the complete organization of a simple reflex arc which we can consider. For instance, a lot of reflexes, when they are clinically made, they just follow the simplest reflex arc in which the sensory information is collected from the periphery. It enters the dorsal root ganglion, enters the dorsal root, And then the motor information is basically sent back to the target organs through the ventral route. This would be the simplest form of the reflex arc which we can consider. For instance, when we exhibit the knee jerk, it just follows this simplest information, and that is why the reflexes, they occur in a matter of seconds. When the hammer is placed at the knee, and the knee jerk, it happens in almost 1 to 2 seconds. This is so because it is just following the simplest reflex arc that is situated inside the spinal cord. Now, this is the dorsal column, and basically over here we have the two main columns, and it is also again mainly ascending in its nature. And then we have the lateral columns, and then we have the anterior columns. For the purpose of study, we are dividing it into dorsal, we are dividing into lateral, and then mainly we are dividing it into the anterior columns over here. And all of the ascending tracts, they are going to be incorporated into these particular areas, the dorsal, the anterior, as well as the lateral areas. And as well as the descending tracts are also present, and they're coupled up along with the ascending tracts in the same areas as well. So for now, we'd be discussing just the ascending tracts over here. Even laterally, the ascending and the descending tracts are present. The information that is being received. Now, some of the information is quite primitive. For instance, a reaction to a hot object. So the temperature sensations, a hot and cold object is being sensed through this particular criteria, then pain, touch, and pressure. These are some of the stimuli that are primitive in their nature. And some of the stimuli have been evolved with the passage of time, particularly the pressure, movement, vibration, and fine touch. So they have been evolved with the passage of time, and they're being carried down by some specialized tracts that are mostly present dorsally. Anteriorly and laterally, we have the primitive kind of stimuli, and dorsally, we have the evolved stimuli, the most specialized stimuli, specifically the discriminative touch, for instance. So when you discriminate between the surface of different objects, it is due to this discriminative touch that is present, and that has been evolved with the passage of time in an individual. So this is how these tracts are being developed, and they are basically carrying the information from the periphery towards the final centers of the brain. Now, for here, we all know these stimuli that are present over here. Now, what are the tracts? Namely, first of all, you should remember the names first of all. Dorsally, we have fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus that I'd be discussing separately how and what information is being carried through it. But for now, we know that they're present dorsally, and they're carrying the information of the pressures, the discriminative touch, the movement, and the vibration. Fine touch is another word which is used for discriminative touch as well. And then we have the lateral columns. Laterally, we have the lateral spinothalamic tract, which is taking the pain sensations and the temperatures. All of these sensations are carried through the lateral spinothalamic tract. Also, the anterior spinothalamic tract carries the same information. And then we have the posterior spinocerebellar tract, and we have the anterior spinocerebellar tracts. Then mainly we have these three important tracts that are present anteriorly. Mainly we have the anterior spinothalamic tract, again carrying the pain and temperature sensations. And then mainly we have the spino-reticular tract, which is a very important tract for maintaining the consciousness of an individual. And spino-olivary tract, again, it has some of the visual complexes and the visual reflexes that are attached to this particular kind of a tract, which is carrying the information towards the visual cortex particularly. And then finally, we have the spinotectal tract, which is mainly taking the information from the spinal cord at different levels and taking the information from the tectum in the midbrain. So this is the complete destination for these particular tracts that we're about to study. So this is basically a summarized way in which we can look at the different tracts that are present over here. And how can you remember the names to these different tracts? There is a very fine mnemonic which is going to help you out in remembering these tracts. That is basically that Los Angeles student went up to stage and screamed using the PA system because he got a freaking cool first grade results. Now the letters in the bold are basically going to help you out remember the different ascending tracts that we have, the main major ascending tracts. Mainly we have the Los Angeles, the LA is standing for the lateral and the anterior, spinothalamic tract, and the spinocerebellar tract. There are the major tracts, and we have two different kinds of spinocerebellar tracts. P and A is basically standing for posterior and anterior systems. So we have the anterior and the posterior spinocerebellar tracts over here. And finally, dorsally, we have the freaking cool. It is basically standing for fasciculus cuneatus. And then we have the first grade that is standing for the fasciculus gracilis. So this is how you can basically make things more interesting rather than quite dry when we look at these different aspects of neuroanatomy. So this is going to make the things much more easier for you, and you can remember when someone asks you what are the ascending tracts, you can really reproduce in an effective way, and you can even remember that what are the particular tracts that are present dorsally, laterally, and anteriorly in the spinal cord.